I saw a question of a guy talking about how his spouse or the spouse, the woman he would hope to be his spouse, isn't as affectionate as he would like for her to be.
Okay.
And I know that early on in our relationship, you probably wouldn't have called yourself being like the most affectionate, so to say.
For sure.
So I know we have some actual real life experience in that space because I was always a very affectionate person. Like I was pretty expressive in that space, and I know that wasn't used so much. So in hearing something like that, because I have my perspective on how I felt like we navigated that. But how do you feel like a guy should navigate dealing with having a partner who isn't as affectionate as he would like? Guy or girl, of course, but having a spouse or a partner who's not as affectionate as you would like.
Well, I think like understanding why they aren't that way in the first place. I think that's important because for someone to not be affectionate or as loving as you would like, it stems from somewhere.
Right.
So I think having that conversation so you can get a better understanding of why they are the way that they are. And then also like letting them know that that's something that you need for the relationship. So I think, okay, understanding them first and then letting them know that's something that you need and also giving them the space to grow and decide on whether or not they're willing to be more comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
Because it's still ultimately a decision they have to make for themselves.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, and then giving them the space to actually grow into that affectionate, loving type person. Because if that's something you haven't done like ever, like it's going to be new. So it'll kind of be one of those things that may be like kind of forced in the beginning.
Yeah.
But when you want to be with somebody, you're going to do things that allow you to kind of like stretch yourself and be a little uncomfortable in a productive way.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I hope that came out right. So that's how I feel about it because that's what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, or that's what we did.
So earlier on when I was way more, let's call it touchy-feely, whatever the case.
I was like, ew, why you always want to hug me and touch on me? Like,
yeah, I like to hug you, kiss you, all of that stuff, man.
Right.
I was real. That was me. I was super affectionate. So how did you get to the point to where you basically became like one and the same?
Knowing that that's how you express your love for me. Like, knowing that you like to physically show me that you love me by like touching on me it's not even sexual. So I want to make sure like that's clear. It's not even just a sexual thing. It's more like maybe like holding hands or like touching on the shoulder or like random hugs or like, let's just have this cute little moment in the kitchen type shit. So like knowing that you like to express love that way, but also telling myself or reminding myself I deserve to be loved in this way too. Because it's like one thing to be like, well, does he really care about me? Like, why does he got to do this to me? Like, I don't really know if I deserve this type of love. It's like, no, like you deserve this. Like he wants to show you that you deserve it. So allow him to do that for you and embrace that. I hope that came out right.
No, I'm with you.
Cause like sometimes like when I'm processing like what we actually did in the moment, cause this is not a planned conversation. So like me processing this in the moment, I'm like, dang, like how did I really feel? And I want to make sure I'm explaining it in a way that's accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, man, when we were going through that I want to call it a phase, because really we just had different personalities.
Okay.
Like we just were into whatever we were into. Like I was more so I was more touchy. I was more affectionate. Like you were more not wordy, so to say, but you express yourself in your words a whole lot differently.
Absolutely.
Like that was kind of your way of expressing yourself. You know what I mean? So to make it more clear, we had different love languages, if you will.
Yeah.
To make it
understandably so.
to make it more understandable.
Yeah.
But like, and realizing that, I think the more we were together, I think I kind of just won you over to where you became more affectionate. And I say that because like, I know you weren't like that, but I feel like I did a lot trying to really get to show you that I was interested in you in a way that wasn't as familiar to you. Like I was interested in getting to learn you as a person, seeing what you were into. I was interested in having like different experiences with you, trying out different things.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to learn from you and see and understand how you saw the world. And we were so open. Like I shared everything with you. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that we ended up growing so close, just really just investing so much in each other, like through our conversations, through our experiences, spending time together, to where we really got to know each other so well, to where the affection became like a natural byproduct of growing so close together. And it's like when you're a bit more reserved in the beginning, it's kind of like you have like a wall up, so to say. But
Rightfully so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, rightfully
Yeah, like you have more of a wall up, but like earning the privilege to see those walls come down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I shared everything with you. Like you saw me in my highs, my lows. You got to see all of these different sides of my character. I got to see all of these different sides of you. You got to tell me certain things, you know, that you didn't like, about either how I was acting, habits, behaviors, different things like that. You got to see me grow through those things, which means that you would see that I actually valued the things that you told me. And I was willing to go and do the self-work, to self-correct and things like that. And I think that kind of opened you up more to let you know that I value the stuff that you say to me. Again, taking interest in your world and just seeing things from your perspective. Even if I didn't understand, like I was still curious, I was still interested. And I think like all of those things like created an environment and a space to where eventually it became more normal and you started to like embrace it more. And yeah, I think it's definitely one of those things that we really like grew into. Like even as I think back on it, I think it became such a natural response that you got from me being that way, that I think at some point in time, again, I helped create a space to where you were more willing to receive it. And it became more of a part of you also, because I also did a lot of that same thing from you, like learning to express myself more so in my words and different things like that. So we both took sides and points from each other and kind of created like this, for lack of a better way of saying it, shared love language to where we were able to really just get portions of each other. So yeah, man, I know that's kind of a lot, but I really like just had to think through that like in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think like you in order to, for me, like I didn't come from like a really affectionate like household, like touchy feely and stuff like that, like always like hugging and whatnot. And knowing that you did, like I was so understanding of why you were the way that you were too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I know I was talking about like you understanding why I wasn't that way, but I had to understand why you were that way.
Yeah.
But I can say for sure I love how we grew into this space and how willing I was to receive that and finally feel like, you know, Adoria, like you deserve this type of love and you should be willing to give that type of love to someone else too. Like you're capable of this type of love too. You know what I'm saying? I think for myself, I was kind of like boxed in or fixed in my own thinking of like how you love someone. And you taught me that love is way more than just saying, I love you. Like it's more than that. Like you can touch someone, you can say some, you know, powerful words to them. Like it's so many ways you can express love that's just outside of, I just love you.
Yeah.
You know, and you help me be able to show that too, like express that as well. I really hope I'm saying this right. Not right, but how I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, and I'm grateful for that because like it hasn't only just rubbed off on you and how I love you and how I am affectionate with you. It's also shown in how affectionate I am with my baby girl. So she doesn't have to be as standoffish in the ways of showing like affection and love the way that I was. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's in a household to where, no, we say we love each other, we hug each other, we kiss each other. Like, you better walk in this door and give me a hug and a kiss. Like, we show that type of love to each other. So it's normal for her. So, and I love that she has that now, you know, and you helped me become like this version of myself to where I can help it be normal for her.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things also, like, when I feel like when it comes to trying to learn how to give your partner what they need, like be it emotionally or in how you express affection and different things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of those hard things, but that's also a bit easier as you get deep in a relationship, is when you get to a certain level of interest in a person and love and commitment, and you're really invested in growing with that person and you enjoy them and you like them and you fall in deeper for them, you just start looking for more ways to want to serve them, to want to care for them, to be able to love on them and show them that you mean something to that person. And when you get to that point, I think you will naturally start to do things that might normally be outside of your character. It's like, even though you weren't as affectionate in the beginning of our relationship, I think the more invested you became and the more interested we grew in each other and the more that we started to connect with each other, learn each other, really like show that we were about what we have. Like, the deeper we fell in love, the more willing it made you to be able to say, you know what, I want to be able to be more affectionate with you. Like, I want to be able to express this because I care so much about you. I want to be able to love you the way that you need it.
Absolutely.
And I think when you get to a point like that, it introduces new character traits that you're willing to take on because of the connection you have with somebody else. It's like, hey, if you loving me right, if you making me feel seen, heard, valued, appreciated, respected, all those different things, and you do that at a high level in a way that nobody else can or has before, you'll open up something in a person to where, again, even if it wasn't a natural character trait, it'll be something that they're more willing to take on because they want to be able to express it to you because you've given them so much and they want to be able to share that with you. Like that reciprocity, type thing. It's like, you've made me feel so good that I want to find every way that I can to give that back to you.
Right.
And if that requires me to be more romantic when I'm not, to be more affectionate when I felt like I haven't always been that way, to be a better communicator and speaker when I haven't always been that way, you know what? I'll do the work that's necessary to learn how to be all of these new ways because you mean so much to me and I want to be able to give you what you need.
Yes.
I want to be better for you.
Right.
I want to invest more in myself to be able to give you these attributes that I may have to learn. And so it's not even about it not being a part of your partner or your spouse or whatever the case may be. It's how can we grow in our connection and in our love to a point to where the natural desire becomes a natural desire to where I want to give that. It's like, man, I've gotten so much from you. I'm so loved by you. I'm so appreciated. Like, you make me feel like I could freaking do anything. You know what I'm saying? To where I want to give you everything that you would need from me back to you. So that's kind of how I think about it.
Definitely, like you said, like effort on both ends,
Yeah.
Gotta be willing to do the work on both sides. Me being accepting, you being open. Like, it's a continuous cycle of us both creating a space where we both feel comfortable growing in whatever ways, even if it's uncomfortable or unnatural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think what's something that got to be said about that is knowing that you can't do that with everybody either.
That's a fact.
Because I actually even had to get to a point to where I realized that I really wanted you in my life long term, to be willing to do the work to try to establish new habits and character traits or whatever in myself and our relationship, to do that above average work. You know what I mean? Because if you're not growing with the person, really getting to see and understand their character, to really understand and know if it's somebody you want in your life long term, if you're not doing all of that foundational work, you can unfortunately end up doing a lot of the right work with the wrong person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's like, that's not saying like, hey, you know, I need to go out here and just, you know, I'm trying to find this meaningful relationship or connection or whatever.
And bare your soul to any and everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, and doing this work on this person, trying to make them change. Because for me, it's like, it wasn't even about me needing you to be anything different. I was affectionate. And I never even made it a problem that you weren't.
Yeah, it was never actually a conversation. It's something I noticed about myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, I want to be more of that for you. Like, you're this thing. It's kind of icky to me right now, but I want to be this for you.
Yeah.
So that was something I established on my own terms. And I said I wanted to do that.
And so
it wasn't a demand.
Right.
Yeah.
And to your own point, I had to do something or become a type of person to where you started to want that.
Yeah.
So there was something I had to do to create the interest in you. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you said that. Like, that was a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, you said you wanted to be like that to give it to me, but I had to do something. I had to love you a certain type of way, care for you a certain type of way. Whatever I was doing for you, it had to serve a part in you that made you feel like, hey, you know what? I want to give this back to this person I'm with.
Right.
And so, like you said, like, making sure that you're doing that for one with the right person and understanding that it is work that has to be done on both sides. It's not that you just aren't this way. How can I be a particular type of way? How can I love you, care for you, serve you, support you, whatever the case may be, in a type of way to where it makes you have the desire. And when you have desire, now the opportunity is created to where that affection can grow.
Right.
And it can actually become a practice because you want it. And it's not me wanting it for you.
Right.
And so, like you said, we never actually talked about that being a problem at all, because I was like, hey, you know what? When I set that goal that I wanted to be the best man that I could be possibly, you know, for myself and for you, I didn't really care what. It's not that I didn't care. Let me stop. It's not that I didn't care. My objective was not to make you do something.
Okay.
Or to try to change you. Okay. It was to give you the best of me, period, and then let the cards fall where they may. If it was reciprocated, if it was, you know, if I got back what I felt like I should have or whatever, like, none of that stuff was a thought to me. It was like, hey, I love this girl so much. I care about her. I see clearly that she's a great influence on me. She's the one that encouraged me to go a little bit harder when it comes to being better. Like, I love who I am when I'm around you. I got so much from you to where it made me want to step my game up. And even though you weren't affectionate, you weren't all of these different things, that didn't stop me from wanting to give you the best that I could and to continue to learn more about you, to show you that I was interested, to invest more into what we had and do all of these things that what I would come to discover would create the desire inside of you to be more of the type of woman that I wanted, to fulfill some of my needs and different things like that. So it's that interest and that investment and that commitment to one each other and pouring into and pouring into one another that create these desires that give us the willingness to change our character traits and habits and ways of being, to where, yeah, it wasn't me before, but for you, I'm willing to be different.
Right.
I'm willing to pick up this character trait, this habit, this love language, whatever.
Because it doesn't take anything away from me.
Yeah.
Doing this doesn't take anything away from me. It actually gives more to me and for you and for what we're trying to build together. And I think, like, sometimes when you talk about stuff like this, like changing, like, oh, well, I'm not affectionate. I don't want to do that. It's like people think that the change is just gonna take away like their individuality and it's, or you want to change me into something I don't want to be. Like, well, if that's the case, then y'all probably shouldn't be together if you don't want to help give a need to him or her that they tell you that they want.
Yeah.
Then you probably shouldn't be together.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that we were so like like you said, interested, invested, committed, intentional about what we were with each other even before we got romantic. You know? So
Absolutely.
yeah, I love that for us.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so dope about it, because it goes to show that even if it's not natural, it doesn't mean that it's not something that can become natural. And like the fact that we were so different, a lot of what we have today, to somebody on the outside looking in, it wouldn't even make sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we say that a lot. Like our relationship doesn't make sense.
Yeah, we were so opposite. Yeah. Backgrounds were so different, but we were so interested and committed and invested in one another. Like from the most intentional and like honest space ever. And again, when you get to that point to where you're willing to just pour in the best of you into somebody, especially somebody who's already shown you that they're worth it.
That part.
Emphasis on that part.
That part.
When you're with somebody, when you're with somebody who has already shown you that they care for you, that they love you, that they're in this thing with you, like who's shown you their character and who's shown you know, like there's somebody who you want to have in your life long term. When you can see that, it just opens up a whole nother world of opportunity for you to be able to give more to that person. Right. And it's like, even though, again, you don't have certain things, or if you're not as articulate, affectionate, all of these things, you'd be surprised the work you're willing to do on yourself when you meet the right person. Like, it didn't even have to be natural in me, but for you, I'll find a way to make it my natural because I want to give it to you.
All right.
Like, you're worth that. And I think that's such a fulfilling type of love. It's like we have everything that we need for our relationship to be strong and to be meaningful and fulfilling and all of those things. And even where we differ, we still know how to be able to love, care for, and support each other and pour into each other in a way to where we can create new desires in each other from our commitment and our interest in the way that we're willing to invest in one another. It's like, I don't need you to be all of this, but you know what? I can pour into you and then see what that produces. And being willing to do something like that with somebody.
Right.
Like it's a different type of commitment, because you can't fake that stuff.
Right.
Like, you really have to be willing to go all in those type of relationships, you know, and just see what comes out on the other side.
Right.
And I'm glad that we had, I'm gonna just say the wisdom, you know, to see that in each other.
Yeah.
And that we got to do that.
Yeah.
So, hey, that's how we did it.
Yeah.
Loved on each other until it became a natural part of each other. Created in one another.
Right.
I love you.
I love you too.
I know you do. And I hope you guys have gotten some level of value out of this, especially seeing it through the lens of our story and what we actually did and how we had to navigate it too, because it was a bridge that we had to cross, and I think we did it pretty well. Yeah. Because now this woman can't get enough of me, and she's just as affectionate as I am, and I love it here. You know, and even though it didn't come natural, as natural as can be now. Absolutely. You know, this beautiful 11 years in now. Well, actually, if we talking about that part, it's even longer. But anyway, it's all good. We ain't gonna go there. But we hope you guys have, you know, enjoyed this episode, because we definitely enjoyed recording it. And until next time, family, my name is John Trone. This is my beautiful queen,
Adoria.
And we are one dope couple. Peace and love.